I was 26 when my mom sold the house without telling me. That house wasn't just drywall and bricks. It was where I learned to ride a bike in the cracked driveway, where my dad's laughter used to echo before he walked out, where every Thanksgiving ended with my uncle falling asleep on the couch with football blasting too loud. And then one random Tuesday, I got a text from my cousin. "Dude, is it true your mom's selling the place?" I thought he was messing with me. I called her right away. "Mom? What's going on?" "Oh, honey," she said in that voice she uses when she's already decided something. "The market's good right now. It's the smart thing to do." Smart for who? She hadn't mentioned a word. No heads up, no family meeting. Just like that, the only place I ever thought of as home was on Zillow with bright pictures of our faded living room. Couldn't breathe. I remember standing in the back of the auto shop where I worked, the smell of grease and burnt rubber in the air, trying not to lose it. One of the guys asked if I was okay, and I just muttered, "Family shit." But it wasn't just about the house. Deep down, I knew it was about control. My mom had always been the one pulling strings, deciding what was best for me. And now it felt like she'd erased everything that tied me to my childhood. That night, I drove 3 hours back to our small town in Indiana. The house was already stripped. Family pictures off the wall, the porch swing gone. Like she was trying to erase us before the papers even closed. And then I saw him. Some guy in a slick leather jacket, standing in the driveway with his hand on her shoulder. She laughed at something he said. My stomach dropped. That's when I realized this wasn't about the market. It was about him. And I swear, in that moment I promised myself I wasn't going to just let this slide. I didn't sleep much that night. The motel room smelled like stale cigarettes and lemon cleaner, and every time I shut my eyes, I saw that guy's hand on my mom's shoulder. At breakfast the next morning, she acted like nothing was wrong. She made pancakes, even set out the old syrup dispenser shaped like a maple leaf, like it was some kind of normal Saturday morning. "So," I said, cutting into the pancakes but not tasting a thing, "who's the guy?" Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. "What guy?" "Don't do that, Mom." "The guy in the leather jacket, standing in our driveway. You were laughing with him." She put her fork down slowly. "That's Tom. He's important to me. Important to me." She said it like I was supposed to clap my hands and be happy for her. Important enough to sell the house? My voice cracked a little, and I hated that it did. Her face hardened. "Don't make this ugly. The house is too much for me." And yes, Tom helped me realize it was time to move on. I deserve a fresh start. I pushed my plate away. "So you erase Dad? You erase me? You erase everything, because Tom thinks it's time?" Her eyes narrowed. "You sound just like your father. Always making everything about yourself." That stung more than I expected. She knew how much it killed me to be compared to him, the man who walked out and never came back. I left the table before I said something I couldn't take back. Later that afternoon, I drove past the house again. Tom's truck was in the driveway. Not even a nice truck. One of those overcompensating shiny ones with oversized tires and chrome everywhere. I sat there in my car, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Then I saw him come out carrying a box, our box of Christmas lights. The same ones I strung across the porch every year, even when Mom said it was pointless after Dad left. I rolled down my window. "Hey!" He squinted at me, then smirked. "You must be Michael." "Yeah, and you're stealing our shit." He chuckled, shaking his head. "Your mom said I could take this. You need to relax, man." I got out of the car, my heart hammering. "That's not yours." He stepped closer, his cologne sharp and chemical in the air. "Look, kid, I don't want any trouble. But you need to understand this is her house now. Not yours." Something in me snapped. "It's never gonna be your house." He just smiled, slow and smug, and said the words that would burn into me for weeks. "Funny. She already told me I feel more like family than you ever did." I wanted to hit him. God, I wanted to, but I didn't. I just stood there, shaking, while he walked back inside with my Christmas lights. Driving away, I realized this wasn't just about losing the house. I was losing her, and I didn't know if I could get her back. I didn't plan for violence. I planned for awkward conversations and maybe one too many beers that made us all say things we'd apologize for later. But life, like a shit movie, doesn't wait for your script. It was a Thursday. I'd taken the morning off, told my boss the transmission on a '98 Chevy needed a miracle. It didn't. And drove back home with a duffel and a stupid, stubborn hope. The town smelled like cut grass and fryer oil from Benny's Diner. The house looked smaller now, like someone had erased the parts that belonged to me. When I walked in, Tom was leaning against the kitchen counter, shirt open at the collar, an empty beer in his hand. My mom was sitting at the table, hands folded, like she'd practiced patience all week. The living room clock ticked loud in the silence. "You weren't supposed to be here," Tom said without standing. He didn't look surprised, just annoyed, like I'd interrupted a long movie he'd already seen. "Neither was selling the house," I replied. My voice sounded raw, like I'd been scraping it with sandpaper. Mom's eyes flicked between us. "Michael, please." "Please what?" "Let him finish packing our lives." I snapped. The words were hotter than I expected. "You didn't tell me. You didn't tell anyone. You just sold it." She opened her mouth, closed it. Then, finally, she said something I'll replay forever. "I did what I had to do." "What you had to do?" I laughed, a short, ugly sound. "You left me a postcard instead of a conversation." Tom's jaw tightened. He pushed off the counter, and for a second I thought he was going to throw me out. Instead, he stepped closer to my mom and put his hand on her shoulder. Habit, protection, possession, I couldn't tell which. "You don't get to talk to her like that," he said. He wasn't protecting her. He was marking territory. That's when I lost it. Not the kind of movie lunging anybody appreciates. More like an animal who remembers a smell and acts without permission. I grabbed the box of photo albums, something I'd stolen back during a packing pass, and hurled it on the table. Pictures fanned out. Me on a tiny bike, Dad's empty suit jacket draped over Mom's shoulders one winter, Christmas trees leaning toward the camera. It felt obscene that they were being pawed through like artifacts. "See these?" I said, each word a stone. "This is why you can't just erase us. These are why this place matters." Tom rolled his eyes. "You're clinging to a house. That's pathetic." My mom stood up like a doll with a snap string. "Stop," she whispered to both of us. "Enough." But words were gone. Tom crossed the room quick, too quick, and my hand hit his jaw before my brain registered it. The sound of knuckles on skin tasted like copper. He staggered, then laughed, low and dangerous. "You dumb shit," he said, and there was a claim in that, an ugly ownership of the conflict. And then my mother did something I did not expect. She walked between us, palms flat on my chest as if to hold me back and to keep herself from being dragged into whatever abyss we were circling. "Michael," she said, voice breaking clean in two. "Look at me." I looked. Her face was older than the pictures. Lines I hadn't noticed were sharp now: worry, fear, relief. It was the expression of someone who'd been carrying two lives and finally choosing one. "You're hurting me," she said. "Both of you are hurting me." It was the cruelest, purest thing. Not "I'm hurt," but "you're hurting me." Not because of the hit, because of the idea that we had become such different currencies in her life. I felt dizzy. For a second, the room disappeared into a single, bright note. I had hit a man, and my mother had asked me to stop. The world made less sense if your biggest grievance could be summarized by someone's need to hurt less. Tom rubbed his jaw, scowled, and then, terrifyingly calm, said the sentence nobody had said aloud yet. "You can come with us. We're leaving tonight." My stomach fell out. Leaving? To Florida. New start. New job. New everything. He turned to my mother, soft as a slick salesman. "You said you wanted a fresh start. I can help you find it." My mother's hand trembled where it rested on my shirt. She looked at me like she was measuring the weight of something and making a decision the way someone might choose a coin from a fountain. "I can't," she whispered. "Not with you." Everything inside me felt like a match being dropped. All the small betrayals, the canceled dinners, the years of not now. They combusted into one bright, awful clarity. I was losing her, not to another town or another house, but to someone who rewrote the rules of us. I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg. I wanted to smash the plate on the floor and tell her the truth, the way she taught me to be honest with myself. But all I managed was a shaking inhale and a single question that felt like stepping off a cliff. "Why him?" I said. "Why now?" She closed her eyes, and for a moment I saw the girl she'd been. The one who'd kissed under the bleachers, who'd taken my father back again and again. When she opened them, there was a tiredness that felt like surrender. "Because he's not afraid to start over," she said. "And I am." That line, simple and brutal, hit me with the force of a confession. It wasn't that she loved him more than me. It was that she feared staying more than she feared losing. I stumbled out of the kitchen, past the porch where the box of lights sat like a memory too bright. The sun hit the driveway like an interrogation lamp. I wanted to fight. I wanted to beg. Instead, I sat on the curb and let the town hum around me, realizing the climax wasn't a punch or a showdown. It was the moment she chose fear over history. And somewhere deep, a louder voice said something I didn't want to hear but would never forget. Sometimes endings are not caused by rage. They're caused by quiet decisions to be someone else. I drove back to Indianapolis that night with the windows down, letting the cold air slap me awake every few miles. The duffel bag sat untouched in the passenger seat. I felt like I'd stolen my own escape plan. Every gas station light looked too bright. Every truck stop too lonely. I couldn't get her words out of my head. Because he's not afraid to start over. And I am. For weeks, I walked around with that line echoing like a church bell at the wrong hour. At work, I'd drop a wrench and hear it again. At night, brushing my teeth, it would come back like some cruel mantra. Fear was the thing that took her away. Not Tom, not the house, not even me. Just fear. I didn't talk to her for 3 months. Not a text, not a call. Christmas passed and I spent it drinking whiskey out of a chipped mug, ignoring my cousin's invites. January came and the snow made everything heavier. Then one afternoon, I opened the mailbox at my crappy apartment complex and there it was. An envelope with handwriting I knew instantly. Inside was a single photo. Me, maybe 6 years old, standing in front of the old house with my arms crossed and my teeth missing. On the back, in shaky pen, she had written, "You were always my reason. Don't forget that." I sat on the stairwell in my greasy work boots and cried harder than I had at the kitchen table. Not loud sobs, just the kind that punch through your ribs and leave you with nothing. 2 weeks later, I called her. The line rang too many times, but she picked up. "Michael." "Yeah, it's me." For a second, neither of us spoke. Then I said, "I don't forgive you. Not yet." "I know," she whispered. "But you called." That was it. That was all we managed. And maybe that was enough for then. Here's the part one didn't expect, though. Life didn't wrap up neatly. She stayed with Tom. They did move to Florida. I stayed here, fixing cars, saving scraps of money, building something small and mine. We don't talk often. Sometimes we go months. But when we do, it's softer. Less about blame, more about weather, groceries, dumb TV shows. The twist? I think I understand her now. Not forgive, understand. Fear changes people. And maybe courage isn't always about staying to fight. Sometimes it's about admitting you can't. Last week, I hung up the same Christmas lights I thought I lost. Turns out, she left them in the attic and forgot to pack them. I strung them across the balcony of my apartment. They looked ridiculous, but when they flickered on, I felt something loosen in my chest. I remembered what Tom said, that she told him he felt more like family than I ever did. I know now that was a lie, a cheap move to get under my skin. Family isn't always the person who stays in your house or the one who makes pancakes. Sometimes it's the kid in the photo, missing teeth, arms crossed, who refuses to let go completely. That night, sitting under those lights, I realized something I'll probably carry the rest of my life. You don't always get to win your family back, but you can refuse to let them erase you. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.